In a little town in South Ontario, Toronto, a young boy's life was about to turn upside down. Whistling to his grade 13 classes, humming Bad Company, Deal with the Preacher, and Foghat's Slow Ride, he had no idea what awaited him. A date with destiny, and a shared experience with James Osterberg and David Jones. March 14th, in the year of our Lord, 1977. Well, hey now. Excuse me. Hey now. Welcome to Fitz's Electric Bar, and something I haven't done in a little while, which is show me your tickets, and pulling a few of them together and going to record some and release them over the next little bit. These aren't the most popular things in my on my channel, but I do love to tell them, and it's fun to kind of document it. And I think for those people who do enjoy it, I don't know, some people think it's a boast, and I don't think that's the intention when I tell these stories. It's more that when I remember them, I get kind of all excited and imagine being back there. I can often feel the visceral feeling of the show and the experience and some memories. So this one is about what happened to me in grade 13. I was in my last year of high school in Toronto. To set the stage, the things I was listening to at that time, when I first moved to Toronto in the fall of September 1977. And I was listening to some Genesis, I think Wind and Wuthering at that time. Big Bad Company fan, big Foghat fan. A lot of the stuff that you consider to be classic rock. I enjoyed, of course, the Stones, and I had a friend, Dave, who I knew from my days in Ottawa. I had moved from Ottawa I went to high school in Lisgar and in around the downtown Ottawa area. And Dave made a move to Toronto at the same time that I did. And I may have mentioned this sort of peripherally, but I wanted to focus on it in this particular episode. About Dave was ahead of me in terms of music interests. I'm the oldest of three boys. And often I think when you're younger, you get sort of handed down music and the opportunity to hear things maybe before your peer group does. I was looking to friends and other sources to be able to turn me on to good stuff. And Dave was one such guy. And he got into punk really early on. And he did invite me to go see the Ramones in the fall of 77, I believe. And I, for some reason, stupidly said no. Who are the Ramones? I think I said. But in the spring of 77, so that would have been actually the fall of 76, maybe, when I had that chance to see the Ramones. In the spring of 77, this gentleman that I'd never heard of called Iggy Pop was coming to Toronto, and he was playing a place I'd never heard of called the Seneca Fieldhouse as part of Seneca College. And why would I want to go? Well, Dave told me that Iggy Pop was either rumored or was confirmed to be doing the keyboards on the tour. I knew nothing of Iggy Pop. Again, for those of you that are younger than this older gentleman here, and I use gentleman liberally, you would, of course, before you go to the show, you'd probably look at, streaming some of the music, maybe buying an album, I don't know. But I just went and I thought, I'm going to get to see David Bowie. And so we went to the show. Opening act, Blondie. That was for me just, I didn't know what to expect. Of course, you have this absolute bombshell, Debbie Harry. She comes out, and I don't know if it was the first song, but played Palisades Park. I think she's just jumping around and just so cute as a button. But she has this incredible power pop band behind her. I've talked before about Clem Burke and his drumming. Just an awesome drummer with tremendous power. And I remember his whole drum kit just kind of bouncing on the stage. But Chris Stein, who's, become well known as a really good guitarist, Gary Valentine on bass at the time, Jimmy Destry on keyboards. And they put on a fabulous show. Like, they were really good. Again, sort of almost girl group, even though Debbie Harry was the only female in the band. But really enjoyed that, and so was then ready for the Iggy Pop, David Bowie experience. So were about 10 rows back, and we positioned ourselves as soon as we came up and we saw the stage set up for Iggy Pop, we positioned ourselves about 10, 11 rows back of the keyboards where David Bowie would be. So Iggy Pop comes out. I don't remember the specifics of the show, but I remember him coming out and just confronting the audience, instead of, hello, Toronto, are you ready to rock and roll? I love you, Toronto. He was all about, you're all a bunch of fucking idiots. Now I want to be your dog. Fun time. Hey, baby, I like your lips. Hey, baby, I like your pants. All aboard for fun time. And the whole show was just chaotic. He did his famous, going backwards and peering through between his legs upside down kind of thing. And singing Now I Want to Be Your Dog. And it was crazy. It was such a dynamic show. And again, I might have mentioned before, but I left that show kind of shell-shocked. I wasn't really sure what I thought of it. I wasn't even sure that I really liked it. And back to Bowie. Bowie played a very intentionally very subliminal and kind of background role. So he sang the backup vocals. So if you're familiar with The Idiot, and at that point I was not, or the other album he did with him, which was Lust for Life, the backup vocals, David Bowie is a phenomenal backup player and a very good keyboard player. So he played a backup role, didn't do any of his own songs. They did China Girl, but this was when it was released first on The Idiot. I believe it was co-written by the two of them. And so, at the time I was kind of hoping that he'd step out and maybe do 5 or 6 sort of Bowie songs, but he was there to promote and to raise the profile of Iggy Pop, which my respect for him is just immense. Having produced The Idiot, he was there to help promote Iggy. And again, Iggy was a one-man wrecking crew, and the way he jumped around on stage, just the crazed energy that he had was phenomenal. But I literally left the show, and it took me time to process what I had just seen. Not long afterwards, I was convinced that everything had changed. I refer to this as, and I was thinking about doing a series on this, but defining moments. Moments when you see something and it changes everything for you. And for me, that's what this show was about. It was about no longer being interested in long guitar solos or staid and pat kind of shows. Just the introduction of Danger to the rock and roll equation was very exciting to me. And I started seeking that stuff out. I remember starting to get into the Sex Pistols, reading about the Sex Pistols, the Stranglers, and a lot of that first wave of punk that came through, and I was suddenly hungry for that stuff. And I can remember almost a few days after this show, just grabbing all of my records, my classic rock records, and moving them to the very back of the Seal Test milk crate. Not interested in playing them, just completely lost interest for years and years and years. Now I can kind of go back and enjoy some of that stuff if it's not still, it's not my go-to stuff. But at that time, it was verboten for me to put that on. It just felt so staid and boring. March 14th, 1977, Iggy Pop, David Bowie, and Blondie as the opening act, Seneca Fieldhouse in Toronto. Show me your tickets. Carpe diem.